The data used to populate the BGE dashboard comes from CMIS Progress and Achievement module. The tracking data is entered at classroom level within the school and reflects the achievement of a level and also the progress towards expected pathway levels in literacy and numeracy. This data can then be extracted along with other pupil data from CMIS in the Management Reports section of the module. The data required for extracting information for the BGE dashboard is found in the General Report within CMIS Progress and Achievement. If the user selects the stages that they want to include in the report and then loads the pre-built authority report, the fields are already set and included. The user will just then reset admission date to today's date, select organisers to be included from literacy and numeracy, click refresh, and when the data is finished downloading, it is ready for the user to copy all, confirm that they're extracting personal information, and they're ready to paste into the BGE dashboard. Before pasting in the new data from CMIS Progress and Achievement, the user will have to clear the contents of the previous data. They go into the BGE data paste here, right-click the top left-hand corner cell to select all and then clear contents to ensure that there is a blank sheet. After returning from CMIS Progress and Achievement, having copied the data, they will then paste in the new data to this sheet. Go up to the data ribbon and select Refresh All. This will refresh all charts and tables and formulas within the dashboard. After the user has refreshed the data, they can then move through the various tabs to view different aspects of that data. The BGE Profile tab has been set up to provide a summary of some of the key demographics for the school, such as SIMD decile percentage, free school meal percentage, additional support needs percentage, and numbers of care experienced. These charts will change upon selection of different stages if the user would like to know percentages by stage. The user can then now move on to the level achieved aspect of the data. So this reflects the level that the teachers have assessed the pupils at this latest tracking point. The numbers for each stage and each curricular area are shown in the tables below. These are shown in overall level and also if there are any steps between levels, and for all curricular areas within literacy and numeracy. To the right, there is also an indicator of how many pupils have achieved all levels of literacy. The graph at the top will show the percentages which have achieved at the expected level for their stage on the Inverclyde literacy and numeracy pathways. These numbers will begin to increase as the tracking period moves towards the end of the academic year. Moving on to the level achieved gap. This is looking at the same data in terms of level achieved, but has been split between SIMD 1 to 2 group and the SIMD 3 to 10 group, which is how the poverty-related attainment gap is measured in Inverclyde. Again, the numbers are shown in the tables below in terms of the numbers sitting at each step in the pathway level, and there is a graph above which can be filtered by stage, and the table on the right will show whether there is any green positive SIMD gap, or red, a negative SIMD gap. And these percentages will start to look more complete as tracking periods near the end of the academic year. We will now move on to look at the pathway progress aspect of the data. This provides data on the assessment of the child towards achieving expected pathway levels at the end of the academic year for their stage. The teacher will assess whether they are on track for meeting that pathway level, beyond expectation for meeting that pathway level, or behind expectation. The on track and beyond are grouped together and compared to the numbers or percentages who are behind expectation, or those small numbers who may be on individual milestones. The charts on the left provide the numbers for the school, and the charts on the right show it as a percentage. This visual representation allows schools to quickly identify if there are any issues within certain stages or curricular areas. In this example, we can see there is a strong downward linear trend from primary 1 in literacy right through to primary 7, with only 25% of primary 6s and 21% of primary 7s projected to achieve their expected pathway level by the end of the academic year. And while numeracy is not as low in those stages, there is still quite a clear pattern of lower projection towards the later stages of the school. As in previous sheets, the numbers are shown below, as well as the graphs above. The same data can be viewed in terms of the SIMD gap. So again, this data has been split into on track, beyond, and behind expectation, but comparing the SIMD 1 to 2 cohort compared to the SIMD 3 to 10 cohort. The table below will show percentages on track or beyond, and the colour will represent whether within each stage there is a positive SIMD gap or a negative SIMD gap. The charts above can be used to compare the SIMD gap across the school within each curricular area, or the user can filter down to individual stages. So if we look at our primary 5, we can see there is quite an attainment gap within this example school. And those percentages are also shown in terms of numbers within the right hand side. It's also possible to filter this data down to class level if you have multiple classes between stages. There is an additional tab which summarises the attendance data that is pulled through from the Progress and Achievement Report. This will show attendance at individual stages compared to the school average, comparison between SIMD 1 to 2 and SIMD 3 to 10 bandings to help identify any possible attendance SIMD gaps. And there's a third chart to show the attendance levels of any care experience groupings that are pulling through from the CMIS Progress and Achievement data. Moving on to layering data sheet. This is where schools can begin to filter down names of individual pupils and answer questions that may have arisen by looking at the previous sheets in terms of groups that may be low percentages of on track or achieving certain levels. The table below will list all pupils with each of their curricular area attainment and include some of the key demographic data that's pulling through from CMIS, including sex, SIMD, SIMD banding, care experienced, free school meals, additional support needs, attendance level, attendance banding, and these factors can be layered with the attainment data by using the slicers above. So for example, we would like to look at our reading in primary 6 and identify the pupils who are behind the expectation. Clicking on these filters will filter the table below so that only the children remain that the school would like to focus on. Looking across the data will allow them to identify if there are any aspects impacting upon those children's learning, such as low levels of attendance. This again could be filtered down using the slicers above to say within this group we'd like to know who has less than 85% attendance. Or clear that filter and identify who has an additional support need. The filters can be cleared at any point to reset and start again. The final tab in the dashboard allows school to look at some other learner gaps that may be evident across the school. The charts show the percentages on track and beyond across several factors, including stage, sex, additional support needs, SIMD banding again, free school meal status, care experience groups, and attendance bandings. These can all be filtered down to individual stages so that we can look across and see the differences within these stages.